What's going on, everybody? Spunky Nice 91 coming at you another video. Coming at you with my Week 8 NFL schedule prediction video. Week 7 definitely had its surprises, but that's every week in the NFL. We are now heading into the halfway point of the season, Week 8. The NFL trade deadline is coming up after Week 8, so we're halfway done with this season. You know, it just goes by so quickly, man. The season just flies by very quickly. Can't believe we're halfway at the point. We're at the halfway point now. You guys know how I do this. Of course, I go over the schedule prediction of all the teams that are playing during this week, and I say the Philadelphia Eagles game for last. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. The first game, Thursday night football game, you had the Miami Dolphins traveling to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. The Miami Dolphins lost their game against the Detroit Lions. You had the Houston Texans who beat their AFC South rival, the AFC rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Dolphins are starting Brock Osweiler at quarterback. The quarterback of the Houston Texans, of course, is Deshaun Watson. Adam Gase is the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. You have Hugh Jackson. Oh my God, Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is the head coach of the Houston Texans. Kenny Stills, wide receiver for the Dolphins. Of course, you have Hopkins at DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver for the Texans. They have J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney at defensive end. Games being played in Houston, and I got the Houston Texans defending home turf and beating the Miami Dolphins. Now, moving on to the Sunday games, I'm going to skip over the Eagles-Jaguars London game, of course, for last. So I'm going to go to the 1 o'clock Eastern games here. First game you have here, you have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Baltimore Ravens lost their game to the New Orleans Saints last week. The Carolina Panthers, of course, defeated my Philadelphia Eagles. The Ravens, of course, are led by John Harbaugh, a head coach. The Carolina Panthers are led by Ron Rivera, a head coach. Quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens is Joe Flacco. Quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, of course, is Cam Newton. This game's being played in Carolina, but I got the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Carolina and beating the Carolina Panthers. I think the Ravens are going to go there and beat the Panthers. Moving on to the next game, you got the Denver Broncos traveling to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Denver Broncos were victorious by a blowout in their game last Thursday night against the Arizona Cardinals. The Chiefs won pretty handily as well by a blowout against the Bengals last week. The Broncos are led by Vance Joseph, a head coach. Chiefs, of course, Andy Reid, a head coach. Case Keenum is the quarterback of the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the Chiefs. Wide receivers for the Broncos are Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Tyreek Hill is at wide receiver for the Chiefs. Kareem Hunt is at running back for the Chiefs. The Chiefs also have Travis Kelce at tight end. Justin Houston is playing at linebacker for them. The Broncos, of course, have Von Miller at linebacker. They got Chris Harris Jr. at Chris Harris Jr. and Roby at corner. This game's being played in Kansas City. The last time these two teams met was on a Monday Night Football game a couple weeks ago. The Chiefs pulled away. It was a very close game, and I got the Chiefs sweeping the Denver Broncos, and I have them sweeping the Broncos, beating them in Kansas City. Okay, moving on to the next game. Next game on the schedule, you got the Cleveland Browns traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last time these two teams played, obviously this right here is a AFC North division rivalry. Last time these two teams played in week one of this, in week one, it ended in a tie. You know, the game ended in a tie. The Cleveland Browns are led by Hugh Jackson as head coach. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin as head coach. Quarterback Baker Mayfield leads the Browns. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger leads the Steelers. Jarvis Landry at wide receiver for the Browns. At wide receiver for the Steelers, of course, you have Juju Schuster and of course Antonio Brown. Connors as well for the Steelers at running back. This game's being played in Pittsburgh, and I got the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Cleveland Browns at home. Moving on to the next game, you have the Seattle Seahawks traveling to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. The Seahawks, I believe they had a bye week last week. Detroit Lions were victorious in their game against the Miami Dolphins last week. The head coach of the Seahawks, of course, is Pete Carroll. Matt Patricia is the head coach of the Detroit Lions. Quarterback for the Seahawks, of course, is it's Russell Wilson. Quarterback of the Detroit Lions is Matthew Stafford. Doug Baldwin at wide receiver for the Seahawks. The Detroit Lions have Golden Tate at wide receiver. The Detroit Lions have LeGarrette Blount at running back. Games being played in Detroit, but I got the Seahawks going to Detroit and beating the Lions. I had the Seahawks beating the Lions in Detroit. Next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Buccaneers were victorious in their game against the Browns. The Bengals lost their game by a blowout to the Chiefs. The Buccaneers, of course, are led by Cotter, a head coach. The Bengals are led by Marvin Lewis, a head coach. Quarterback for the Buccaneers, of course, is Jameis Winston. Quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals is Andrew Dalton. The Buccaneers, of course, have Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson at wide receiver. The Bengals, of course, have AJ Green at wide receiver. Joe Mixon at running back. Games being played in Cincinnati, and I got the Cincinnati Bengals bouncing back from a blowout loss in Week 7. I have them beating the Buccaneers at home. Okay, moving on to the next game. You have the New York Jets traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. Both of these teams lost their games in Week 7. The Jets, of course, lost to the Vikings, and the Chicago Bears lost to the New England Patriots. The Jets right now are led by Sam Darnold at quarterback. The Chicago Bears, of course, are led by Mr. Trubisky at quarterback. Games being played in Chicago, and I'm going to give this game to the Chicago Bears. I had the Bears beating the Jets in Chicago. Moving on to the next game, I have the next game. You have the Washington Redskins traveling to New York, MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Giants. The Redskins were victorious in their game against the Cowboys in Week 7. New York Giants lost on Monday Night Football. They lost their game to the Falcons. Of course, NFC East division rivalry game here. The Redskins, of course, are led by they're led at quarterback by Alex Smith. The Giants, of course, are led at quarterback by Eli Manning. Gruden is the head coach of the Washington Redskins. Of course, you have Pat Sherman as the head coach of the New York Giants. Wide receivers for the New York Giants, of course, you have Odell Beckham. At running back for the New York Giants, of course, you have Barkley. Running back for the Washington Redskins, Adrian Peterson, who had a very good game in Week 7 against the Cowboys. Games being played in New York, but I have the Washington Redskins traveling to MetLife Stadium and beating the New York Giants. Now, moving on to the 4 o'clock Eastern games. The first game, you have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Oakland to take on the Oakland Raiders. The Colts won their game easily in Week 7 against the Buffalo Bills. The Raiders, can't remember for sure who they played. I think they actually had a bye week in Week 7. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But the head coach, of course, of the Indianapolis Colts, of course, you have Frank Reich as head coach. The Raiders, of course, you have John Gruden. Quarterback for the Colts, of course, you have Andrew Luck. Quarterback of the Raiders is Derek Carr. Yes, wide receiver for the Colts is T.Y. Hilton and Grant. For the Raiders, they traded their wide receiver Amari Cooper to the Cowboys. They traded him. Marshawn Lynch is also out in this game as well. This game's being played at Oakland, but I got the Colts traveling to Oakland and beating the Oakland Raiders. Let's see, next game, the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Both of these teams lost their games in Week 7. The 49ers lost to the Rams, and the Cardinals were blown out by the Denver Broncos. The 49ers are led by C.J. Beathard at quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals are, I believe Rosen is starting at quarterback for the Cardinals. Yeah, games being played in Arizona. And I got the Cardinals getting a second win this season. I have them beating the 49ers. Yes, I have the Cardinals beating the 49ers at home. Moving on to the next game, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, you have the Green Bay Packers traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, of course, were victorious in their game against the Cardinals last week. Against the 49ers last week. The Packers, I believe, had a bye week. Of course, the Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Packers. Sean McVay, the head coach of the Rams. You have Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Packers. You have Jared Goff, the quarterback of the Rams. Games being played in Los Angeles, and as much as I would love to pick the Packers to win this game, I can't pick the Packers to win this game. I gotta go with the Rams. I got the Rams winning this game, but I hope I'm wrong on that. I'm waiting to see the Rams. I can't wait to see the Rams lose a game this year, but I don't think it's gonna happen this week. Now, moving on to the Sunday night football game, you have the New Orleans Saints traveling to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. This is a rematch from the playoff game last year. They also played in the regular season, the first game of the regular season last year as well. I'm looking really forward to this game here. Head coach of the Saints, of course, is Sean Payton. Mike Zimmer's the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback Drew Brees leads the New Orleans Saints. Quarterback Kirk Cousins leads the Minnesota Vikings. You have Kamara at running back for the Saints. You have Dalvin Cook at running back for the Minnesota Vikings. This game, of course, is being played in Minnesota. But I got New Orleans Saints getting revenge from the playoff game last year, that divisional playoff game last year. I got the Saints getting revenge and beating the Minnesota Vikings at home on Sunday Night Football. Now, for the Monday Night Football game, the New England Patriots traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots, of course, were victorious in their game against the Bears in Week 7. The Buffalo Bills, of course, were blown out by the Colts in their game in Week 7. Tom Brady, of course, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Derek Anderson is going to be quarterback for the... I said Buffalo Bills. Tom Brady's the quarterback of the New England Patriots. The quarterback for the Buffalo Bills is Derek Anderson. Bill Belichick is the head coach of the New England Patriots. You have Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Hogan, Josh Gordon, and Julian Edelman are wide receivers for the Patriots. And for the Buffalo Bills, they have Shane McCoy at running back, and Kelvin Benjamin at wide receiver. This game's being played in Buffalo, but I got the Patriots defeating the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East rivalry game. I had the Patriots defeating the Buffalo Bills. Now, moving back to my team's game. This is going to be a London game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. My Philadelphia Eagles will be taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Both of these teams lost their games in Week 7. My Eagles lost to the Carolina Panthers, while the Jacksonville Jaguars lost to their AFC South rival, the Houston Texans. Both of these teams are obviously this is a must win for both teams. These are two teams who came close to playing each other in the Super Bowl last year. They both came very close to playing each other in the Super Bowl. My Eagles, of course, are led by Doug Peterson, the head coach. Doug Marrone's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Quarterback for my Eagles, of course, is Carson Wentz. Blake Bortles is the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles, you have Alshon Jeffrey, you have Nelson Aguilar, you have Jordan Matthews. The Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars have Jalen Ramsey at corner. They have Calais Campbell, on the defensive line. This is a London game. This game's being played in London. And right now, the Eagles, I would love to pick my Eagles to win this game, but right now I can't pick them to win this game because you just don't know with the Eagles right now. They had an absolute meltdown in that game against the Carolina Panthers in the fourth quarter. So because of that, I'm going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to defeat my Philadelphia Eagles. Crossing my fingers that I'm absolutely wrong on that. Crossing my fingers that the Eagles come out here and they prove me wrong. Obviously I hate picking against my team, any week, but I got, right now with the way the team is playing, it's hard for me to pick my team to win any game right now. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to defeat my Philadelphia Eagles with my fingers crossed that I'm absolutely wrong on that and that my Philadelphia Eagles get the job done. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, there you go, guys. That's my schedule prediction video for Week 8. If you want to share your prediction in the comment section, go ahead. If you're new to my channel, of course, go ahead and subscribe. I will really appreciate that. Like, comment, tell me what you think. I'll be back tomorrow or either Friday. Just depends on my time. I'll be back one of those days with my preview for the Eagles Jaguars London game. I'll be back with that. Like I said, either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. I have it definitely out one of those days. Obviously, if any news about the Eagles, these trades, I'm not really expecting any trades to happen this week. I expect it before the trade deadline. But if anything happened, of course, I'll be on here to report it to you guys like I always am. But there you go, man. That's my schedule prediction. As always, let's go Birds. Fly, Eagle, fly. Spunky Nights 91 is checking out. Peace.